Yeah, Will, I know you wanted to talk about the Sandman. And so yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about what happened? Was it this weekend? Was he honored this week? What happened?
Yeah. So over the weekend, there was the Mark Twain Awards. They've been going on, I think, since like the late '90s, and it's like the Mark Twain comedy award, comedy prize, something like that. And
American
essentially,
humor.
they pick humor award.
Oh my god, it sounds
So
like such an
pick
unfunny award.
The humor
No,
award.
yeah,
The
it
award
is. It's
for
sort of a
American
stupid event,
humor.
right?
Yeah.
The humor award.
Yeah, it's sort of a stupid thing, but it's like the last few of them have been interesting, right? So before Sandler, there was Jon Stewart in 2022, and then obviously we had COVID. But in 2019, we had Dave Chappelle, and like it's fun because it's like
Julie Dreyfus before that.
Julie Dreyfus the year before, right? Like, there's been some notable people. I don't think it's been interesting for all that long. I think the first time I had ever heard of it was with Dave Chappelle. But it's like, who are the people who come to honor the winner? And it's like comedians. And so it winds up being a stand-up event, essentially, where it's sort of a roast, right? Like, a big theme of Adam Sandler's whole spiel is like, everyone who was thanking him for putting them in his movies, because Adam Sandler hires all of his fucking friends. And so it's just like a lot of people like essentially having to like grovel and say how amazing he is. Because of how much he's done for them personally. And that's definitely true, right? Like, that's definitely true. I don't think most people would know Rob Schneider's name.
It's like Drake having like 40 present an award to him, like a Grammy or something.
Yeah, but at least like 40 is like a big part of
the
it,
guy
right?
that's
Like,
on, if you're reading this, making all the patois.
yeah,
That
like
guy.
Baka Not Nice,
Oh, the
and
unruly.
Future, the DJ Future, Oliver, like Drake's like OVO team.
Yeah, right.
Monique.
Yeah, right. It's like
T minus.
but at the same time, like, you know, those are people who have
Hooters on
had
Peachtree.
careers. And, yeah, you showed us
She wouldn't do
sent
it.
us the photo. That was great. Looks small. But yeah, you know, it was just, for me, it's just a chance to, like, I don't know, like, I wanted to big up this award because I like talking about comedy, and Adam Sandler is an interesting character within the world of comedy. And
yes.
I figure if I didn't bring this up, there wouldn't really be a good chance to talk about him again. So I wanted to talk about him. That's really the excuse that I had.
Sandler.
Last night I watched Billy Madison for the first time in like a decade.
Nice. That's the golfing one,
Great
right?
flick. No, it's the one where
That's Happy
he
Gilmore.
repeats
Oh yeah.
all 12 grades of school every 2 weeks.
Right.
Every 2 weeks he graduates because he's just a fucking idiot.
He's so stupid.
And
there was
I think it might be their first film. Like, they call it Happy Madison Productions. I'm not 100% if it's their first film, but it's one of the very, very early ones, 1995.
Dude, how many of the the Happy Madison films have we all seen?
I need a list.
List them, yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's get a list up.
Here, I'll pull it up.
Yeah. I know there's like Anger Management.
I know my favorite. Big Liar or Big Daddy.
Big Daddy, fuck
Happy
yeah,
Madison
Big Daddy.
Production.
Big Daddy's
All
right,
awesome.
here we go.
Big Daddy, maybe 70 times.
These are like, some of these are like also like Rob Lowe movies or whatever his name is.
Yeah, so I'm going to Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
No, we can also add those just to see if we've seen them.
What for like
Okay, so first Billy Madison.
Okay.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, seen
Yeah,
it.
I've seen it. Some shit, maybe.
Bulletproof. The Wedding Singer.
Seen it.
Kind of
Like
really.
half of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of it.
I don't.
The
I've like
Waterboy
seen it half consciously.
Yes.
Also
Waterboy
half
is
consciously.
fucking awesome. Waterboy
This
is
is not a Happy Madison, but Punch Drunk Love.
That is not a Happy Madison.
not a Happy Madison.
Yeah.
Mr. Deeds.
Oh, classic.
I've seen
Mr.
that.
Deeds.
is a classic.
What is
I'd say.
Mr. Deeds?
Mr. Deeds, the
He's a
movie
rich
where
guy.
he just signs a bunch of deeds or some shit. It's weird.
No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one.
Eight Crazy Nights.
8 Crazy Nights.
Yes.
Nope.
Great.
Great. Rotoscoped animated.
Yep.
Great
Fun
film.
music. Anger Management.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, classic. Anger
Classic.
Management.
Yep.
Those are my two favorites.
50
That one and
First
Big Daddy?
Dates.
Hell yeah, 51st Days.
Mhm.
That was like my first favorite movie.
50 First Days. One of the greats.
Is that Drew Barrymore?
For them. Yep. She forgets she's got amnesia.
Yeah,
Forgets
yeah, yeah.
every
I
day.
never thought Drew Barrymore was that hot when I was growing up, so I don't think I watched that.
It's not good because she's hot. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I think that's like for me. That's
It's
probably
just genuinely
the best written
charming.
movie.
It's kind of like the innocent, like low
Oh, I didn't
stakes
like-
Eternal Sunshine.
I didn't like.
You
I
know?
didn't like rom-coms either back then.
All
so
right,
I-
here we go. So now we get into the beginning of the dramatic flicks. Remake of The Longest Yard is sort of a comedy, but
Dude,
I
Longest
remember
Yard is
seeing
so
that. It was
good.
all
I
right.
love any Adam Sandler sports movie, so yes, that
haven't
was.
seen it.
Here we go. The big one. Click.
Yeah,
Dude,
Click.
fucking Click
Holy shit.
might be the best Adam Sandler project ever. It's the idea. Hold on, let's just talk about Click for like 2 seconds. Like the idea is so tantalizing because
It's so
he just
Jim
has
Carrey.
that little purple remote, and he can just and he's just like rewinding stuff. Like it's just so satisfying from a film perspective because remember we grew up hitting the rewind button, on like VCRs and shit, and it was just like him just like taking that like and then the ending, the climax, the pain that he felt. It's like, it was like our modern What a Wonderful Life, where he just regrets like the greedy life that he led. He can't even like, and Adam Sandler's like, can't even like respond to his like family and he's like dying of a heart attack or shit. He's like, I hate this life. Anyways, dude, I fucking
That's a
love
good
that
one.
movie. I love that.
Next
Yeah,
one.
great one.
Reign Over Me.
Nope.
Classic. Not really.
One
But
of my favorite.
It was good.
The most slept on Sandler film.
isn't that him and Sean
it's-
Penn?
Sean. It
Isn't it
might
Reign Over Me?
be.
Isn't the I know that you know that
Don
I-
Cheadle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see
okay,
Don
okay.
Cheadle.
Donald Sutherland. So,
You don't want-
it's about Adam Sandler. His character loses his wife and children during 9/11,
Yes.
Oh wow.
and then
that's
he goes
crazy.
fucking insane and gets horribly depressed. It's super intense. One of the most intense. I think it was like the first, like, because I'm like, oh, it's a new Sandler film. This is gonna be so funny.
Yeah.
And then it like
Wow.
was not. It was not that. It was not that at all.
What was crazy is that Eddie Vedder did a cover of The Who's "Love Reign Over Me."
All right,
for the
and now we get into the misses. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
I like that one.
Mm-mm. Did not like that one.
Not
Oh,
not a
I'm by
huge fan,
myself
but I
on
did
that.
see it. It's all right.
I thought it was funny
I
when I,
didn't
saw
like it because it was pandering, and it was like, oh, we could be gay, but we're actually not gay because we don't like dicks, but we could take advantage of being gay. And I was like, bitch, you should just be gay. Like, this would be a better movie if y'all just gay. Like, Adam Sandler being gay, like, I would fucking watch that. Like, him being super gay, that would be dope. But nobody committed. So, I didn't fuck with it.
This is a different level of commitment. You don't mess with the Zohan.
Oh, that's a good one.
One of the
Bro, that was fucking
That's a good
trash.
I
one.
love it,
That's
but
a
it's
good one.
so fucking weird.
That's a good one. That's like him doing his like
As a
Sacha
Muslim, I
Baron
could never
Cohen.
condone that. No, I could never condone it because he's like Israeli or some shit, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
this
it's very fucked up.
pro-Israel bullshit.
Well, he obviously Adam Sandler is a very Jewish person
Right?
from New York, right? And so yeah, he's gonna play the Israelis. My biggest issue with that is like the characters who play the Palestinians in it are pretty wild. But it is like it does a Romeo and Juliet thing where
I was not
he falls in
sensitive
love
to
with a
any of this.
Palestinian woman.
When I was
No,
like
it's
when I was like
real.
12 or 13 watching
I
this,
can't wait to go back.
Dense, bro.
It's
You're
gonna be
fucking dense.
I
either
was so dense.
much better
Same
or
with Chuck
so
and
much
Larry.
worse.
I didn't know what I was watching.
No.
I just thought that shit was funny.
You
I
were
just
like,
thought there
"This
were
is
funny
great."
things. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
thought it
this
was
is
funny.
awesome.
Honestly, I was laughing because they were pretending to be gay. I thought that was funny.
That was hilarious at the time, yeah.
What can I
I'm
say?
not sure if I agree. Funny people.
Oh, that
Yeah,
well,
decent.
Funny
decent.
people. Actually, the interesting thing about funny people is it's not funny. It's not.
that funny.
There's
it's
some
not funny,
jokes
and,
there,
like,
but it's not funny.
Yeah, but coming from a guy who knocked up is like a top 2-3 comedy for me. Like I love that movie. That's what Judd followed it up with, and like it's kind of a dud. Like as a film, one does not stand the test of time. Nobody's watching it. Because there really aren't that many jokes. It's like this movie about like being a comedian, and like so you almost have to like be in that scene to be like, oh, I like this, and even then you're like, this is too fucking sad because his life sucks. So I'll give credit to it. It's not like I'm not docking Sandler for it, because I think it's one of his more introspective films, and I think it was cool, and it's one of those like Sandler in like a I'm like your big dog role. Which I like him as a character. Whenever he's like looking after somebody or like being like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you the ropes, kid," I think he always plays a great character. So he's actually pretty good in the film. Not saying that. I just think the movie itself doesn't move that much.
I want to go a little bit faster here. Grown Ups, Just Go With It, and Jack and Jill, all within like a year and a half of each other.
I think Jack and Jill is like considered the worst of his whole.
I've never seen it, and I want to see it so bad.
I should watch it.
I think it's gonna be really horrible. I think it's gonna be so funnily bad.
I think it's talked about as like his worst film, but I just might be. I gotta watch it.
Gotta watch it.
Hotel Transylvania series, right?
Hell yeah.
Those are pretty crack.
Yeah.
Those are pretty crack.
And then I'm not gonna get into every last one. Uncut Gems. Yeah. And then last year, Hustle.
That's why he won this award.
Really, yeah, that's why he won the award. You're right. You're totally right.
Well, not for humor. I mean, Uncut Gems is. I wouldn't say it's funny.
But I think it gave him that pedigree. Yeah, the Mark Twain Award. They're like trying to like big up like pedigree comedians.
They're trying to be cool. They're trying to be like, oh, you've done some cool shit, and like he's had a career of doing cool shit. Like some of those films are pretty cool. But Uncut Gems is when everybody was like, oh, he could ride out into the sunset doing just.
He's got chops.
Like like whatever he wants to now, because he's proven that he's a one of one. Like Sandler kind of did that with Uncut Gems.
And he's done so many like kind of like mid on the fence, like trying to like break into like serious or like good film territory, you know, and like Uncut Gems, he finally like broke that.
Even Punch Drunk Love, at the time, it was not critically acclaimed.
Right.
In hindsight, there's like a cult. It's a cult classic, really. Yeah. But when you're talking about moving the needle from everybody's consensus, Uncut Gems. I mean, there are some people that tell me that it's way too stressful for them to watch, and I agree with that. Their first movie, not their first, but the one with Pattinson, I actually didn't end up finishing that one because I was just like, this is crazy. But Uncut Gems also like an absolute like heart attack of a film. So I do agree with some people who are like, I couldn't do it, but it's just amazing. Like
some people feel that way about Punch Drunk Love too. It's like too anxiety inducing.
They're both very anxiety making.
Yeah, such a 2004 experiment film. Like just so weird. I've watched it once. It's not my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson. I know it's Will's.
That's your favorite P.T. Anderson? One,
probably, just maybe because of.
It was mine in high school.
But it's just an interesting thing because I think with both of those, and Reign Over Me, and even Click to the extent, and Funny People, like all of them, when he goes for the dramatic, he does a really good job of playing a damaged person.
I agree.
Right. Like someone with mental illness, and he even some of his characters in the comedies, you know, like the ones that feel less lazy, wind up feeling like they have like they're idiots. Like a lot of his characters are sort of idiots.
They're so fucking dumb.
And that is a big piece of the Sandler humor. Like even on like SNL and things like that back in the day.
He is Tom Sawyer.
Like the crazy sounds, like type of stuff that he does. Like
he's so funny.
Adam Sandler winds up like really. I mean, my mom was watching a bit of it with me, and she was saying like 10% of this guy's jokes hit, and I think 90% of it is just really dumb. Like, I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, maybe I think a bit of it's fun. Like, I almost think it's his ability to just get stupid in public that people find so endearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on the dramatic roles, it's like he's able to flip that to be like not just stupid, but like damaged in a way that becomes endearing,
like
and
naive,
understandable. Yeah, like even though we have trouble understanding the character, we're like, this is some real shit, you know.
I think in life I've had a huge love-hate relationship with Adam Sandler. There are some films that
we all have. I think most people have.
Okay, yeah, and again, like, I'm serious. When like Big Daddy came, I had a VHS of it, and I would watch it like I thought it was a perfect film. Like I love the relationship that he had with his like son that he had to take care of, and like his like gang of friends that like were like super weird in the house that like they lived in, and the kid could just like do whatever he wanted to because he was a terrible father figure. And then like I thought the movie as a child was like perfect, and then there were movies I couldn't stomach at all because they didn't speak to me. They were like weird. So like some of the early ones that are classics. Grace says Jack and Jill is her favorite.
Have you seen it?
Jack and Jill.
Have you seen it? Really? You liked it?
It's so funny. But yeah, like I think like later after realizing like what a comedian is as a profession, because again I grew up with this guy and being like, you're funny, this was weird, this was hilarious, this was crazy, this was that, this. And then I was like, oh, this is just a guy that like was like, hey, I'm gonna build my whole profession like in a comedic empire off like being like super hokey, but I'm also just like a regular guy with like a family, and I'm like just like I got friends that I want to like help them out, you know, like the veil on him has been cool because like it makes him cooler as an artist, especially over time. He's aged like fine wine, because you see in the strokes of what he's doing, and you're like, he's just fucking getting paid to just be wilding out. Like, that's cool. Like, I have like a soft spot for him over a lot of comedians that I have a huge leash with, or I don't have a huge leash with, like Kevin Hart, for example. Like, I'm like, a lot of the times I'm like, he's not funny enough, he's not doing his shit. Like, but with Sandler, I'm like, I'm gonna let you go because at least at every point when you were raking it in, you did something that you were like, hey, I'm just gonna dive into myself right here and try to take myself seriously, or like find my craft. Like, I think the person that did this the best in our time was Robin Williams. Like, and I think he has like I don't even want to compare him, but Robin was such an electric comedian that always was so introspective, and it was so easy for him to tap into that self. And his roles, some of his best roles are like some of the best dramatic roles, right? Like, they're so good. And he was also just the funniest motherfucker, right? So like, there are versions of that or variants of that we've seen that go very high up. And Sandler, it's like, we don't got to compare him, but at least it's cool that we have that continuum.
Yeah. No, so I thought he deserved the award. I think he's someone who really stands out in the world of like comedians in my life. I don't think the whole posse needs one. Like, I'm not looking for that award to go to Rob Schneider or Kevin James or David Spade. Like, right. Chris Rock maybe one day, you know.
I don't think he's.
Chris Rock did have a headline. He opened his little bit. He was just like, because it was set in Washington D.C., right? And so there were like some Democratic donors and things like that in the crowd too. First thing he says is like, before I get started, just want to shout out Paul Pelosi, one guy who understands me. And I was like, damn. And they got some good laughs. So,
Mark Twain is crazy ass man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Mark Twain, for real, right? Like, out of all the people, I think that's a cool thing too. I mean, this is a discussion for a different time. Maybe after I've finally read an entire Mark Twain book instead of just a couple of chapters of like 2 or 3 of them.
It's hard to kind of read.
Yeah, unless you have like a real reason.
Yeah, for a few reasons.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah,
I do think
yeah,
I do think he's one of the American greats.
he
As
is.
problematic as those things can be, we touched on that in the
But
Roald Dahl episode, right? Where it's like
Twain was kind of
Twain was way cooler than Roald Dahl.
Yeah, way cool.
Right?
Like this guy. Also, Twain got it. Like he was on the good side of history for sure. Like he was not. Did you guys know that Val Kilmer, did these great plays that he funded called Citizen Twain, where he played Mark Twain?
Citizen Twain. Hey,
Yeah,
no,
like and like he played. This is like in the 2010s, and he like produced it, and he took it across the country, and it was like a critically acclaimed play that he would do, and he like loved him. And then during like the run of Citizen Twain, the play, he ended up getting throat cancer, so he couldn't do it anymore. And if y'all seen Top Gun, like he doesn't have any talking lines and stuff, but he's like yeah, but it was interesting to hear about his kind of love for Mark Twain, and then like as an actor just kind of like deciding like in a point where kind of like time forgot him, and like he was trying to figure out what he could do. He found like a spark in his story. It's a very American story, and I'm glad that there's an award named after him.
Yeah, especially for such a cool thing, right? Like for comedy, for a large part of that being stand-up, but like to say in some ways he's the forefather of that. Like I also think it'd be cool to talk about just for a bit, like, you know, stand-up's a pretty new art form, all things considered. You know, obviously comedy goes all the way back to the Greeks, right? But like it's been around probably as long as people have been around. But like the idea that like you're gonna have someone go up and just like tell joke after joke standing up on a set, like that is a pretty new idea. I think that really came into the foray in like the 50s, and then was pretty straight edge for a good while there until the 70s, where like George Carlin and Richard Pryor like really tore the roof off of like what was acceptable to make jokes about.
I can see like that being the intro to like a Richard Pryor stand-up special, like the first laugh amongst men, you know, like some caveman like absolutely slips and like falls in their own shit, and then like as like a cave painting, you have everyone like pointing and laughing at like this guy, you know, and then opens up like the curtain, and there's like Richard Pryor on stage, you know.
Yeah, maybe one day if we can do a deep fake comedy special, we can make that one happen. But yeah, it's cool in that sense, like to honor Mark Twain. I don't know how he connects to stand up exactly, but I know the books that he wrote were generally considered pretty funny.
They were funny.
And he's just considered a witty dude. He's just like, you read Mark Twain quotes, you're just like, that fucking funny.
Yeah, his quotes.
So he was just that type of dude.
He has such good quotes. He might have the best quotes out of like seriously any American author.
I feel like of the people who won this award, Adam Sandler reminds me the most of Mark Twain in his like sense for fun.
Adam Sandler is our Mark Twain.
Yeah,
because he's got quotables. He's
like a good old boy, and not in like the Red Hatton sense, you know. But like I think like he's just like got like a good sense for. He's just got like a good appetite for adventure, you know. I think he's got a good appetite for adventure. He just loves to go out and like have fun and like find fun, you know, where it exists. That's like what Mark Twain's all about. Is like young men, like just like boys going out, like finding those like places where like they can have fun and like wild out and like do shit the way that they like. That their sense of humor tells them to do it, you know, and like wherever that leads them, like whatever trouble that gets them into, like that's the most honest spirit that you can follow in the world, you know. Like that's what Adam Sandler is being really honored for, is like going out there and following just like whatever made him giggle, you know. I think it's a very Mark Twain kind of ethos.
Well, and Pete Davidson said a funny thing too in his bit, which was just essentially like, "Thank you for being the only comedian over the age of 50 who doesn't feel the need to tell us what you think about trans people." Which is just like, it's just like Adam Sandler. Just like there's a sort of chill about, especially nowadays. It's like
chill. He's just chill.
He's not trying to take on the entire system, the entire world. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try to do that with your with your art.
Every
but like sometimes it's nice to be able to take a breather,
Yeah, every comedian always just wants to be so upset about shit, and that's what's funny about Adam Sandler. Well, we don't really know him for stand-up. He's a filmmaker, so it's like. But the funny thing is, he doesn't say anything with his films.
Right.
Like, he does not give a fuck about saying anything. Like, he's not down for that. He's just down to, like, be like, what's a story we can tell that would be funny with, like a hot woman and, like, some dude, like, chasing her and, like, making a fool of himself. And, like, then there can be, like, a kid and, like, him, like, being an asshole. Like, there's just, like, really human things about his humor. And so that's what's so endearing is because, like, the world is fucking mad. Like, he's, like, a one of one, and he just never plays by those rules, right? And like you said, he's just chill, man. He's chill. He just loves ball. He's just a baller.
He just loves basketball, man.
He just loves ball. Like, that's
I mean,
great.
he was hooping in Billy Madison. He was hooping against.
Yeah,
like,
he just loves. He just loves.
He plays a shitload of ball, dude. That's the only reason he was down for Uncut Gems too, because he was like a ball lover.
He just loves ball, and he sucks at it. Like he's not.
Come on, he's not that bad.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he's not, like, the funny thing is that we can all just relate to his love for ball, because he's just as bad as us at it. Like, he just loves to do it, though. He's like, I'm gonna just ball. Like, that's raw. Like, that's what it's about. Like, nobody's asking you to be good. People are just asking you to love it.
Right.
And, like, just love the game. Like, that's what he does with his comedy, too. He doesn't need to be good all the time. He just loves it so much. And, like, that was his whole goal from the start. You can hate me. You can fucking be like, I'm the worst. Like, but I'm just going to love this shit so hard. And we're going to see who's standing,